Welcome back. It's the DB Weave Doctor, located right here in Bowie, Maryland. All right, honey. And we're back and we're ready to attack. Okay? I know it's been quite a while, honey. Weave Doctor had a lot going on, but child, the Weave Doctor is recovering. Okay? So today, we're going to keep it brief, or honey, should I say tonight? Okay? Some of y'all probably in the bed right now. Okay? So today we're talking about some of the underlying issues with alopecia. Okay, and a lot of people do not realize that when you're dealing with alopecia, a lot of it relates to your actual health. Okay, your health is your wealth. Your health is your wealth. That's why it's very imperative for you to make sure that you're eating the right foods, you're managing your stress load. I was just talking to a client earlier today that was telling me, she believed a lot of her alopecia was stress induced. And that form of alopecia, I believe that is either the CCCA alopecia. There's so many different ones that be triggered by stress as well. So can the alopecia totalis. So these are just some things to look into. When you're dealing with hair loss, you have to find out what is causing the hair loss to begin with. Okay, so we're just basically having just like a brief discussion of some of the different forms of alopecia and what does alopecia say about your health. First of all, for the genetic alopecia that a lot of people know about, like androgenetic alopecia, that one is often inherited by your genetics. So if you have like a generation of people, everyone having hair loss, then you're more susceptible for this type of hair loss. Also, this form androgen, that's one of the different type of hormones that causes and triggers the DHC. A lot of times, this can be also from different hormonal problems with cortisol, too much stress in your life. So you really just have to really, really monitor these things, especially you're dealing with alopecia and you're trying to find out, some different remedies and things like that. A lot of these things can be, now I'm not saying these things alone can just alter, your hair growth, but every little bit counts. Okay, you want to make sure that you're handling your alopecia regrowth from all angles. You just don't want to focus on topical agents. I tell people you should handle your alopecia at a holistic type of approach. So whether that be, what you're taking internally, what you're thinking about when you're sleeping at night, making sure you just get everything right. Your supplements, because sometimes I swear it doesn't matter how healthy you eat, you still a lot of times are going to lack some different forms of nutrition. And because of the diets now, even like when I was studying as a holistic practitioner, we're learning like a lot of the soil does not even, attain a lot of different nutrients like it did 40 and 50 years ago, like your parents. That's probably why nowadays hear a lot of people, older people complain and say and talk about young people and talk about how they were so much more active than they were, and or their immune system was more stronger. It's probably because of the different soil that they had. And a lot of people don't realize that is a big connection to your immune system and your overall health. That's why the weed doctor purchased organic. It's a lot of people that say it's not worth eating organic. Child, the devil is a lie. Okay. Do not believe them. Okay. So, the organic food in many cases has more nutrients. You're eliminating the glyphosate and the other different forms of pesticide that destroy the gut lining. If you're already dealing with any type of autoimmune allergy or gut problems, you definitely need to switch over to eating organic. So this is just something that you need to think about when you're trying to improve your overall health. All right, so that's for the androgenetic alopecia. Also, with some autoimmune diseases, those could be passed down genetically as well. Okay, that can affect hair loss as well. And then you'll be dealing with some of the other hormonal or a possible alopecia totalis. There's and I believe diffuse alopecia. Now that one Actually, it can be more so from stress, from a stressful event. All right, the next one that is very, very, very popular, and this one is very kind of scary. The connective tissue alopecia with scarring alopecia. This one, I had a lady that, hey, oh, some of my fans are here. Where my fans at? Where my fans at? Hallelujah. Okay. Yes, honey. So, Chad, we got to get back on course. But I ran into a client of mine when she was coming to me. We were filling in that hair. The weed doctor was filling in that alopecia, and it was at the beginning stages. All right. And so that's how you want to attack alopecia. You don't want to wait 1 to 2 years down the line. Try every at-home remedy known to man, and then come into a trichologist or even your dermatologist talking about dermatologist fix my life. Okay. we are not Iryana, okay? So some of these things you have to tackle it in the beginning stages. You do not wait 2 and 3 years after you done, like you said, go to a professional. These people have a lot of these trichologists, if they went to a good school, they are able to give you, a different products, selections, solutions, and modalities that can help reduce inflammation at your scalp. All right. So these are just some things that you really, really, really want to look into. Now, this one with the connective tissue disease, or the CCCA, it's best to do it like the weed doctor said in the beginning stage, because if not, it can actually start to, this thing is like a virus. It starts to, inhibit the growth, and also mess with, the actual follicles, and mess those up so that you're not even able to save what you could have saved. Okay. It's pretty much like, it's just like a fungus. It just spreads, and it kind of just, it's like, I would guess kind of say like I don't know, like a plague or something. But pretty much it just goes from one area, and it spreads and spreads and spreads. And once those follicles have been affected, have been defected, or messed up, it's just a downhill battle. That's why with this one, it is difficult to treat. Now, there are some dermatologists out there that believe that there are some different treatments that can break down, the adhesions in the scalp or the skin. They have other different type of holistic things that I've used in the past, Chinese medicine, that can help different modalities. But the best option is to attack the problem on the onset. Don't try to be Dr. Doolittle figuring these things out on your own, okay? Leave it to a professional. All right, now the next one, you all heard of traction alopecia. That really doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your health. That is just you going and using poor styling practices that's causing you to lose the hair, okay? All right, now the next thing would be the autoimmune conditions. So alopecia areata. And this is another one as well, that you have to really, really be careful with. A lot of times it can start to expand, and it begins in most of, in different areas. Some people say it can look like a little circle, whether it be behind the ears, at the nape area, or even around the edges. And a lot of people describe this as a patchy hair loss on different areas of the hair. It also, if you have the complete totalis, or universalis, then those individuals have no hair at all, no eyebrows, no underarm hair, no anything. I guess one good thing about that, you're not going to have to worry about shaving. Say, girl, I started thinning out in my 20s, totally genetic for me. And some people are like that. Like I had a friend of mine, and sometimes we don't realize how some people are more androgen prone. So they may have more different type of hormones that are in, or maybe they're more dealing with stress. I wonder if that can be genetically related. They say so many different things. I know they said trauma can be passed down from from generations. So, with all that being said, you just really do not know. But for that individual that I knew, they actually, their hair was doing fine. However, as they started to develop, another topic that we're going to talk about is different scalp conditions that are left untreated, such as stasis, not about to say stasis dermatitis. Chad, I'm thinking about something else. Seborrheic dermatitis and psoriasis, then those are pretty much key indicators, that you're dealing with some gut issues, some allergen issues. And with those, this individual had just let it go so bad to the point they started to lose their hair. So again, when you're dealing with any type of scalp dysfunction, any type of form of hair loss, you want to attack it in the beginning stages. You do not want to keep waiting around, because then you can really you wreak havoc on your situation. You may not be able to get the full circle, see the full circle on it for it to resolve itself. So again, make sure you handle these things in the beginning. And I know some of the different things that the weave doctor does at her trichology clinic. We try to use different type of wand therapies, massage therapies, all the things like that. Also give our clients different products. And we also do a digitized hair analysis, and also offer a lab test, so a strand test, HTMA test, where we send that off to the lab. It's a multi-million-dollar facility that we're partnered with, and they bring us back the results, boop, 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 and they let us know everything that is going wrong with our clients. So these are just some different things that you might want to look into when you're trying to discover your form of hair loss. And again, with psoriasis, that does not necessarily cause a form of alopecia, but if it is left untreated, then you run the risk of it possibly causing you alopecia. And a lot of people who have seborrheic dermatitis, I said titus, child, my Medea is kicking in. I guess I'm getting a little tired. Or psoriasis, that generally is an underlying condition where it has to do with the gut, and it could be some type of immune challenges with their food. Some of the most common contributors to food allergies and gut problems are wheat, dairy, and sugar. So we have to make sure to get these things under wraps. And that's why it's good to try out our different holistic packages where the nutrition and the hair tissue mineral analysis is all integrated, so that you will be able to withstand some of this different hair fall and help to reduce some of your scalp conditions. All right. The next thing that we're talking about is hormonal causes of alopecia. Now, this can be very broad. PCOS, pregnancy, postpartum, birth control, bioidentical hormones, menopause. With this category, we definitely suggest they have a lot of different type of practitioners out there. I'm trying to think of the one in particular that I really, okay, it's called a functional medicine doctor. I actually went to one myself. They are very, very, very good. They, look at the biochemistry. They have a lot of different type of testings that track your actual hormone production. I got mine done. I couldn't believe it. Also, tracking your cortisol levels, see how stressed out you are and how your body is managing stress. And if you're like me, child, the weed doctor had wore her body out to the max. Okay. Honey, all my life I done had to fight. Okay, so I had got to the point where it's like, and this happens over a period of time, and this can worsen some of these conditions, especially probably with androgenetic alopecia, the hormone alopecia, and the autoimmune different conditions, and diffusive alopecia that was from different major stress events. But, that's why they say that you're supposed to be going to bed 10, 30, 11 o'clock. Look at me, I'm not even following my own rules, okay? But I would definitely say it's best to go to bed before 12 o'clock, if at all possible. If you don't, you're constantly wearing and tearing, putting wear and miles on your body. Okay. Your body is not sometimes able to fully reset. Then also with that, you can start to affect your thyroid and adrenals. And those two glands, they help to, really take care of a lot of important things in your body, and different type of chemical, different type of connections and all that. So that's why it's very, very important to have an overall lifestyle change when you're dealing with these conditions. I need the weed doctor's going to, I had a lot going on, child. Okay. Okay. And, now I'm starting to get back on track, back on schedule. Life be life, and okay. But now, time to move on. Okay. Time to move on. So, so these are just things to look into, going to bed on time, um, looking out for your alcohol consumption, your sweet and sugar consumption, thyroid issues as well can affect hair loss as well. So if you're eating a lot of seafood, we'd like to have to stop eating seafood like that because I think it's starting to affect my thyroid. I was crabbing it up, honey. Okay. And I'm one of those people. Once I like something, I love something. I'm going to get it all the time. Some people could say it could be an addictive personality. I don't know if I don't think I necessarily have an addictive personality, but I am someone who works off of a regimen and doing the same thing over and over again. All right. So these are just some things to look into. A lot of people, especially in this DMV in this Maryland area, a lot of people enjoy eating crabs and seafood. However, you have certain health conditions, you may or may not be able to eat the seafood as often as you would like without receiving any type of reactions towards that or speeding up your metabolism or just exposing yourself to too many heavy metals. All right. But for the hormonal alopecia, we said pregnancy. All right, postpartum, birth control, these hormones and menopause, all of these things can, and that's why we were saying make sure you work with those functional medicine doctors because they have the right test. Okay, honey, those serum tests are very effective. And then also, at one point, the weed doctor saw a hormonal specialist as well. And that's why, I don't do the same type of hours that I do. I try not to work as late as I used to because it was killing my body. Okay. And we all have to find that little breaking point in our lives so that, we don't cause any harm, irrevocable or irreparable type of damage to our body. Okay. So these are just things to look into. All right. Another form of hair loss that has to do with your health is anemia caused hair loss from iron deficiency. And I actually had dealt with this myself. A child, the weird doctor called herself. I said, I'm going to be like Dr. Sabi, okay? I'm going to be like Dr. Sabi. I'm going on the Dr. Sabi diet. I'm not going to be eating all that meat and parasites. And, I need something to help digest everything down. Okay? I tried it. It was cute for a little second. But for me, I realized I didn't have the same type of energy that I would prefer because the type of job and work that I do, I'm a high energy person. I like to be out. I like to move around, so I require a lot of a high protein diet. And for me, I wasn't getting the same, there's some people may try to argue me down, but there are complete proteins in the meat and eggs and certain different things that you may not get from a plant base. And that's just my take on it, period, point blank. They do have supplements and different things that can help with that. But, certain individuals like me, especially if you do your hair tissue analysis, you can find out if you are even capable of going on a plant-based diet. Me, I was in a catabolic state. That means my body can have the tendency to break down. Dealing with too many acids can break down some of the joints, different things like that. We need to be eating a lot of protein. So my condition may not be everyone else's, but there's a lot of people that's in that state. So that's something just to be mindful of. When you're going on these different fads and diets, you have to make sure that these diets are going to go with your body type and your overall biochemistry. All right. Now we talked about it earlier, hypothyroidism and hyper. So either underactive thyroid or overactive thyroid. Make sure that if you have these conditions, you really need to be working with a functional medicine doctor, a hormone specialist, and making sure that they are keeping track of what's going on and that you are not making your problems any worse. Okay, child. So you see all these different things with hair loss, these different forms of alopecias, and what it says about your overall health. All right, and last but not least is diabetes and circulation, and we have a couple of more with that. But that's why I really, really, really try to suggest and make sure it should be in the chat. Look at some. Make sure I put that in the chat about if you want to book a session with the Weave Doctor, for a consultation, so that we can crack the code, okay, and find out what different health problems you are possibly dealing with that's making your condition even worse, okay. So for all those who do not know, you know, just because you're taking your medicine, that does not mean that your body is still not dealing with the medicine does not just eradicate. Hope I said it right. I'm getting sleepy. All of your problems. So if you go around here drinking all this alcohol, eating all of this high flour, uh, high fructose corn syrup ingredients, and wondering why your circulation is not improving well. Even myself, I had a situation ship going on where my circulation had got messed up. And so, we really, really, really got to be mindful of these things, not to overindulge. And, try to eat a diet that is a low glycemic diet if you suffer from any of these different problems. Child, but the weed doctor's getting tired. I'm going to eat me another snack before going to bed. Child, it's been a fabulous time. It's been a fabulous show. But the weed doctor got to go. All right. It was my pleasure. I'm glad that you guys are tuning in. I'm going to be finding more time to talk possibly throughout the week. My schedule has changed. And so I'm going to have time to talk to the fans. Where them fans at? Okay. Where them fans at? Okay. I enjoyed you guys. And make sure to put any type of questions or topics that you want to talk about in the comment section or DM us if you have any further concerns or questions, about booking with us or setting up a free virtual consultation or for your digital scalp analysis. All right, book now with the DMV Weave Doctor. See you later.